At 90, she lifts her great-grandson over her head and laughs. Most women her age cannot rise from a chair without both hands. Same village, same years. So what does she know? The doctors who came to study her were certain it was the food, or something gifted in her blood. It was neither. It was one small thing. A thing with no name that she did every single day without ever once calling it exercise. And when they finally saw what it was, it surprised even them. Stay with me. Because it is not what you would guess, and it is gentler than anything they tried to sell you. We worry about the heart. We worry about the memory. But there is one quiet thing that decides, more than almost anything, whether you stay yourself into your last years, whether you rise from your own chair, whether you can lift what you love. It is your strength. And here is the strange part. Most of us are losing it right now without ever being told. Let me show you how it slips away, and then how she held on to it. It begins so softly you never feel the day it starts. From around the age of 50, the body begins to let go of a little muscle each year. 1%, perhaps 2%, a thread at a time, the way a rope frays where you cannot see it. And after 70, the fraying quickens. You don't notice it as weakness. You notice it as a jar that will not open. A grandchild who feels heavier than he did last summer. A hand that reaches now for the railing it never used to need. The doctors have a long name for this slow letting go. Sarcopenia, an ugly word for a quiet thing. But you don't need the name. You need to know what it costs. In one large study of older people, the women who had lost the most muscle were far more likely to lose their independence as well. Not a little more likely, several times over. You see, it was never really about the muscle. It was about everything the muscle quietly let them keep doing. Now here is something the doctors learned almost by accident. You can read a great deal about a person's whole body from nothing more than the strength of her hands. There was a study, a very large one, that followed people across many countries for years. They simply measured how hard each person could squeeze. And what they found was this: the weaker the grip, the greater the danger that lay ahead. With every small drop in strength, the risk rose steadily, like a tide. The grip of the hand turned out to be a clearer signal of what was coming than even the pressure they read on the arm. Now, the squeeze of a hand does not cause anything by itself. It is a messenger, nothing more. It tells you, quietly, how strong the whole body still is underneath. The same hands that open the stubborn jar, that bring the washing in off the line before the rain, and that hold a small, warm child against your shoulder. Your hands have been keeping the score all along. So let me show you a simple thing that doctors use. And if you feel steady today with something firm nearby to hold, you may try it softly with me. Gently. No hurry in it at all. Researchers in Brazil asked one plain question. Can a person lower themselves down to sit on the floor and then rise again, using as little help from the hands and the knees as they can? They followed thousands of people across many years, and the ones who could rise from the floor with ease lived, on the whole, longer than the ones who could not. A good deal longer, because to sit and to stand from the floor, you need it all at once. Strength in the legs, balance, the easy bend of a body that still trusts itself. It is a small test that quietly asks the whole of you. And if it is hard for you today, please don't be discouraged for one moment. Hold the chair. That, too, is good to know. It does not tell you that you are finished. It only tells you where to begin. Now, maybe you are thinking that may be so for the young old, but not for me. I am past all that now. So let me tell you what a doctor named Fiataroni found a long while ago. She gathered a small group of people in a nursing home, frail ones. The youngest among them was 90 years old, and over a short handful of weeks with patient and careful movement, their muscles did not merely hold. They grew. They walked more steadily. A few set down the canes they had leaned upon for years at 90. So if there were one thing I could carve above the door of every home, it would be this. The body does not stop listening. It is never, not ever, too late to begin, softly, to answer it. Now hear me clearly. I am not telling you to go and lift great heavy weights. Please don't. And do speak with your own doctor before you begin anything new. What I am telling you is gentler than that. And it is exactly what the women of my islands knew, without a single book. Because the women of Okinawa, the ones who reached 90 still strong, never trained for it. Not once. There was no gym on the island, no hour set aside for exercise, and still they kept a strength that puzzled the very people who came to study them. So where did it come from? Here's the small, surprising answer. It came from the floor. In the old Okinawan home, there is little furniture. You eat at a low table. You sit upon a mat. You rest on the floor, and you rise from it again. Dozens of times, every single day. Down to sit with her tea. Up again to stir the pot. Down to the floor to play with a grandchild, and back up when someone calls at the door. Without ever once calling it exercise, they did the very thing the doctors now test for, 100 times a week. Their whole ordinary day was the training. The strength was never something they went out and got. It was something they simply never stopped using. And that, I think, is the gentlest secret of them all. No, not a secret even. They would have laughed at the word. It was just how they lived. You do not have to find an hour you do not have. You only have to stop sitting quite so still. There is one more thing they did, without ever thinking of it as a rule. They fed the muscle. There was a woman who lived near my home, Kiyo-san, 89 years old, and her hands were as strong as a woman half her age. Her table was a humble one, a little fish, tofu most days, an egg, beans from her own small garden, nothing she would ever have called a diet, just a little good protein in each meal all through the day. And the doctors will tell you much the same now, that as we grow older, the body turns a little deaf to its food and asks for a touch more protein to hold on to the muscle it has. But listen, because this part matters, the food alone is not enough. Kiyo-san was not strong because of the tofu. She was strong because of the tofu, and the floor, and the garden, and the walking, all of it woven together. The plate feeds the muscle, but the body must use it, or it quietly lets it go. So you see, this was never about being strong for its own sake. Vanity has no part in it. It is about something far quieter and far more precious. It is about the morning when you can still rise without calling out for help. The stairs in your own house that stay yours to climb. The fall that never comes because the leg held when it had to. It is about lifting the grandchild who reaches up his arms and feeling with a small and private joy that your arms are sure. That is what the strength is truly for, not to be admired, to stay free, to carry your own share for as long as you are given to carry it. I am an old man now. My own steps are slower than they once were. But every morning I lower myself down to the floor, and I rise from it again, and I think of those women, and I find myself smiling. If you take one small thing from an old man tonight, let it be this. Do not wait for the strength to come back on its own. It will not. But it will answer you, at any age at all, if you only begin to use it again, gently, today, and do speak with someone who knows your body before you start. There is no shame in that, none at all. Now, there is one more thing those women kept, something they held on to even tighter than their strength. But that I will save for another evening.